Now we're going to look at one of my favorite submissions, probably my favorite submission. It comes off this Kesa Gatme series. There are a lot of ways to get into it, but I don't show it very often because it's pretty dangerous. It's not dangerous unto itself, except the fact that people don't think that it's going to be a shoulder lock. They think they're about to get Kimura or reverse triangle. As you do this and you get better at it, people may read reverse triangle and they may tap to the reverse triangle, but ultimately this is going to be a shoulder lock on the other side. It's very, very important that you are careful while doing this because it comes from 0 to 100% fairly quickly, and you want to give your training partners an opportunity to tap. Well, let's check out the spacing underneath that leg and how we transition into this. All right, so same position that we've been working the last series of moves, whether you control, whether you bring the arm in, it's important that we get here. Same type of entry, getting this leg fed between the legs. Now, this isn't the only way to enter into the gear shift, but it's probably the most common, and it fits in with the series that we're doing. So again, hand comes up. You can see that I've brought this knee in so that we can shear back and over top. And now the spacing, when I start to move, it's important that my calf stays underneath this tricep. We are going to use the same entry that we used for the triangle because lifting up on the head cuts down on the hip movement, and it will also encourage them to get up on their side. We do want them on their side for this. There is a Kimura over here as well, but the Kimura will be a secondary submission, okay? So again, I've rolled my body up, I've put my hand into that hole, I've come up onto the bulb of the head and I'm lifting. Now watch what this knee does as I start to rotate. When I bring this leg over and he starts to turn up onto the side, other side, so I curl that foot underneath. That curl of the foot is super duper important here. And you can see that my feet are close to each other now. Now I come back up and I start to go from my Kimura position, and this hand is out in the middle of nowhere. I do want to triangle my legs and I want my calf on top of the shoulder. So instead of going for the triangle, or excuse me, for the, my goodness, instead of going for the Kimura, all right, we're going to come back and trap here. If you don't like letting go of this and you want the option to come back and get it later, you can use your tie off just like from my other videos, no problem. And now that arm's not going to go anywhere. So my hand comes down here to the elbow. I'm going to start to lean forward. Leaning forward is going to allow me to straighten the leg that's underneath the head, and you can see nice and tight. My leg comes in and I'm going to triangle right here. So the one that's on top, the one that shears across the back of the tricep, is going to be underneath the other arm. Now this is the hand that I'm going to attack. If it's hidden over here and you can't get it, okay, we can come over here and start to Kimura him. In this event, a lot of times they'll bring this hand back over to try and defend their arms. Again, nice and tight. Now, Evan, come on over here. So now that I'm in this position, you can see that I've got it nice and tight. There are a lot of different ways that we can put pressure here. We can attack the wrist, okay? Or more commonly, a lot of times I'll control, and I'm just gonna grab the wrist and I'm gonna push it down my leg, okay? From here, it's gonna be a shoulder lock on the side. In the event that you're too loose and you can push and the hand doesn't tap, let go of the wrist, come back to the elbow. I'm gonna stiff leg and tighten tight to the shoulder. Now it comes here. Now, why is this move dangerous? If they do clasp their hands together and they're thinking triangle or they're thinking Kimura, they're not expecting the shoulder to blow up. And while these hands are connected here, it will provide a little bit of support for the shoulder. The problem is that I have a lot of leverage here. And if I really push it and their hands break apart, their shoulder is going to explode immediately, all right? So the conundrum is, with your training partners, if you're in here, do I push hard enough to break their hands apart? Not really, all right? If I'm going to transition out of here with my training partners, if their hands break apart, his shoulder is going to break. So you can communicate to them and say, hey, dude, you didn't know about this, but you know, if I push hard enough to break this, your shoulder is going to explode. In the event that you don't want to tear up your partner's arms, this hand can come back through and I can sit back up to the Kimura. My goodness, man. Kimura. In, tight. Now if I need to, I can come back. Now his hands are separated and I can go back in. Let's look at the whole thing again. You okay, bud? Yep. So I'm in tight. That arm starts to come through, whether I shear it all the way to get to the armpit, right? From here, I dip this knee in, nice tight to the body. I'm shearing over top. Here, I come over, pull up on the bulb of the head, and you can see this bottom leg right here is going to turn over when I pull him up on the side. it's important that my calf is underneath here. If his arm is hidden, the first thing I'm going to do is sit up proud. I'm going to start attacking this until his hand comes back into play. Oh, see, he doesn't even like doing it though because he knows what's going to happen. Now that his hand is in play, I can grab a hold of that elbow. I can lean forward. Now remember, my bottom leg is going to straighten underneath the body. Chop, tap, or chop, lock. Now from here, I'm going to push. That is the submission right there, okay? If that doesn't work, threading back in, pushing back up. From here, squeeze my knees. I'll come back into the Kimura, or I can come back in and re-trap this, and you can see that I've got his hand trapped this time. One more time. Uh-oh, this is a problem. Hand comes in, tight, right? Shear on top, pulling up, I step over. My foot is going to shear underneath, I pull him up on his side. Turn over here. So my knee came, my shin came underneath, tight, Kimura grip. From here, he's starting to bring that hand back in. Control, either at the wrist, I like the elbow, leaning forward. Can you lock your hands together? No. Push. Ladies and gentlemen, this move is dangerous. It's high percentage and it has some slick setups. Play with it. If you're not getting the shoulder lock, more than likely it's that space underneath the head where your leg's straightened, or you didn't pull in on the elbow and chop close to the tricep or on the shoulder.